Hi friends! Today we are in a different setting because I want to show you the 5 mistakes people usually make when they are watering their plant. If you're new here, my name's Larissa and I'm here to share my journey as a new plant parent. If you like this video, subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. So let's jump right into it. I want to give you some tips about the most common mistakes people make when they are watering their plants, and these are mistakes that I made when I was starting, and I had to go to YouTube to learn this stuff. So here's me paying back the favor. So mistake number 1, getting the leaves wet. So when I got my first house plants, I wanted to mimic the environment they have in nature. So I would water my plants and get the water in the leaves. And I just forgot that there's some elements we are not replicating inside our homes. For instance, the wind and the air circulation. So what happens is when this plant is outdoors, it does get water everywhere when it rains, but there is also the wind blowing, there are animals rustling against it, there are bugs. So the water doesn't sit on the leaf for days, but inside, as we have like this perfect environment that nothing ever happens to the plants, the water will sit on the leaves for days, and that will start to rot certain parts of the leaves. So after I learned that, I started to just watering the soil when I was watering the plants. It sounds simple, but it took a while for me to understand that. The second mistake people do when they are watering the plants is having no drainage holes. So let's be honest, when we get a house plant, one of the reasons that we want something pretty in our houses. So we get a nice looking plant and a nice looking pot, and aesthetics come first sometimes. So people forget to check the bottom of the pot, for some drainage holes. So what people do is they pot the plant inside the cash bowl, like they put soil in here and they just pot the plant in here. And when they water the plant, the water has nowhere to go but the bottom of the pot. So the water sits in the bottom of the pot for days, and this plant is actually sitting in mud, and this will cause root rot. And if the roots of your plant are rotten, your plant is dead. There's no going back from there. So what the solution is, just get your nursery pot and put it inside a nice container, just like this. It's very simple, but make sure your plant is potted in a container with drainage holes. The second mistake people make is that when they learn this lesson and then they water the plants and then they just forget about it. And what happens is the excess water actually sits in here. It goes out of the drainage holes, but it just sits inside the pot. So what you need to do is, after a while, you go back to your plant and you just, let me see if I can get everyone here, and you just, drain the excess water. And a trick that I do to make things easier for me is that I had like a container lid or juice bottle lid, and I put my plant on top of it. So the plant has a little gap between the bottom of the nursery pot and the bottom of the cash bowl. So if there is a little bit water sitting in there, the plant is not sitting in the water. So that gives me a little bit of time to go and drain the water out. But eventually you have to do this. You have to take the water out. The third mistake, the fourth mistake that people make is watering too little. So when I got house plants for the first time, I was afraid of overwatering. So what I would do is just pour a little bit of water in here, and I would see that the top layer of the soil was wet. So that to me was done. But the problem is this top layer of the soil can be wet, but the roots are here. So doesn't matter if this layer is wet. The important thing is this layer. And because I just got the top of the soil wet, that would dry very quickly. And in the next day, the plant was dry. And I couldn't understand why. It wasn't until I watched a YouTube video of someone actually showing me how to water houseplants that I understand that you have to actually, really pour water into it until the water starts to come out of the drainage holes. And you can do this with your cacti, with the succulents, as long as your pot has drainage holes on it, as long as the water has a way to drain, you'll be fine. You can take your plant to the sink and just give it, saturate the soil completely with water, let it drain, and bring the plant back where it was. And it's okay, I swear, it's okay. I do that to all my plants and they're doing fine. So the last mistake people make is when they are checking if the soil is dry. So I would check just the top layer of the soil, and if it was dry, I would water it. But the problem is that this top layer dries first. So you can have the top layer of the soil dry, and in here there is still moisture. And some plants, they really don't like to have the soil moist all the time. So what you need to do is actually you need to assess, when you're checking your plant to see if the soil is dry, you need to assess this part of the soil. So you either get your finger like really in there, like a couple of inches down, or you get a water meter. But you need to know if this part of the soil, where the roots are, is moist or not, because the top layer doesn't matter that much. And so there you go. These are the 5 mistakes people usually make. I used to make these mistakes, and I learned on YouTube how to do it. That's why I'm teaching you. If you like this, I hope you like this video, and if you did, you're gonna like this video in which I talk about the 5 best plants for beginners. So these are easy to care for plants that you can start with if you're just starting your plant journey. And I hope you like it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.